This is my BMW E30 convertible, and I get a lot of questions about it, so I thought it'd be really fun to make a video about every single detail on this car and hopefully answer some of those questions. By far the #1 question I get in person, I don't know why, is what year is it? It's a 1992, which is the last year they made the E30, and I think they only made convertibles that year as they were transitioning into the BMW E36. I was never really looking to buy an E30 convertible, but a producer that I worked for up in Seattle owned this car, and one day he came to me and said, would you just take this car rather than have me write you a paycheck? So I said yes, and effectively got this thing for about $3,000. The exterior originally started out as black Schwartz, but the clear coat on it was kind of bad. It kind of looked like somebody had just let a bunch of birds crap on it and never washed it. So I decided I'd wrap it. The car was blue for a little while, but now it's red. As you can see, this is a vinyl wrap by Vinyl Frog. It's roughest red, and I absolutely love the way it turned out. I just finished it up a few months ago. This is a late model E30. I think they started the late model in about 1990. You can tell because it has these plastic bumpers that look a little bit more Euro style. The early model ones had those big chrome ones that you'll see, and people drill out the shocks and push those in. I've also got this balance thing that's kind of welded to the core support. It's all part of the front end, and then I have an IS lip on the front of it, which is pretty easy to pop on and off. You can switch it with a couple of different options. The other way to tell with late model cars is the rear fender is much lower on the quarter panel. It kind of gives the car a fake low look. It's not as good for a car like mine when you air it out because you can't air the rear out as much. So the car's got a little bit of rake, but that's okay. What are you gonna do about it? I got these M-Tech 2 style side skirts, and these are off of a coupe, and they don't fit that good because convertible side skirts are completely different. They didn't really make a whole lot of convertibles with side skirts, and part of the problem is you have this rub strip down here that the regular coupe doesn't have, and this is to cover up the extra height of the frame rail because the convertibles have such tall frame rails to add rigidity to the car that none of the other E30s got. So a little bit of a pain in the butt to get something that fits these. I've also got these plastic little canard looking things just to try to make the back of the car look a little bit lower to the ground. They're okay. I'm not totally sold on them, so we'll see. They were cheap. I might just toss them. There's not a whole lot going on in the back here. I've got these eBay style smoked taillights. Some people hate them, some people love them. I think it's working out on this car. When I originally got the car, this taillight was smashed out because of a hit and run incident in a parking lot. So I just fired something up that was cheap and easy, and there wasn't a whole lot of options, 10 or 15 years ago. So that was what looked good. I thought I still might revisit this and get some more like OEM looking ones I think would be really cool. Other than that, just have the chromed tip that you can pretty much get at any auto parts store. And I shaved the trunk. These late model cars usually come with a third brake light, but I welded the little hole shut, filled that in, and it looks nice and smooth now. There's about a million options for engines that you can do in these cars, from whatever it is, JDM or modern BMW motors. I've pretty much seen it all nowadays. And this is the M42 that originally came in this car. It's a 318, so 3 series, and then the 18 is a 1.8 liter. If you have the 325, that means that you got the 2.5 liter 6-cylinder, which is also a pretty cool motor. This one's really fun. It's small displacement, but it's high revving. So once you get up into those higher RPMs, you can really beat on it, and it's a good time. Definitely puts a smile on my face. I didn't want to turbo the motor because I already have 3 turbo cars, so I wanted to do something a little bit different. I thought about supercharging it, but every single supercharger kit I found for it was absolutely hideous. So I finally landed on these ITBs, which stands for individual throttle bodies. These guys down in Australia make this kit. They're called RHD, and really nice, simple, pretty, easy to install. What's not easy was getting this car tuned. If any one of you guys have ever tuned an ITB car, it's not very straightforward. They don't tend to run very well. A lot of times barometric pressure or just temperatures start to make the car run kind of weird. This car doesn't really like running when it's really hot outside. It gets by, but it doesn't love it. It's running on a VEMS ECU, which is kind of like Mega Squirt, but a little bit better. I got a harness made from a guy in France. He shipped that over to me, plugged the whole thing in, and it sort of ran, started up on the first try. I spent a couple months kind of dialing it in, getting the car like functioning, and my friend Jason tuned the thing on the dyno to make a whopping 110 horsepower. Other than that, there's a little bit of a shaved engine bay going on here. I still want to try to improve it a little bit and get like a real spray job so that it looks nice and shiny. It's kind of dull at the moment and definitely a little bit dirty. This motor leaks oil like crazy. I've tried to fix some of the gaskets and things and replace things, and it will not stop leaking. So I might be pulling this motor out of here and completely revisiting it, doing a complete refresh. Probably needs a new head gasket. It's got a CA-tuned radiator, which is really nice. Very flashy piece, functions fantastically. And I also did a brake booster delete. So I got rid of the brake booster, have manual brakes. I thought I was gonna hate it, you know, having to push on the brakes so hard, but it's actually really fun. It makes the car kind of feel like a race car, and you feel really connected to it. I love it. This is the stereotypical strut bar that literally everyone has. A bunch of different companies make these. I got mine from Garagistic. They really don't fit very well at first because they're made to OEM spec, and what ends up happening is over the course of your car's life, whether it's 250,000 miles, the chassis starts to move around, so when you go to install these, sometimes they can be really hard to install. Definitely got to hit them with a hammer and stuff, but it looks really good. I love the way it looks, and I even wrapped it to match the car, and I think I'll probably leave that for a while. It's pretty cool. The car's been bagged for about 8 years now. I had it static at first, and I love low cars. So I just kind of had this thing on like some cut springs. And after I smashed 2 oil pans, I decided it was time to look for some type of way to prevent that. I got the kit from a guy on the East Coast who I'm pretty sure had one of the first bagged E30s ever. He sold me the whole kit for like 1,200 bucks. Put it on my car, and from there on, the car's always been bagged. It was originally on the V2 kit, which started failing on me last year, so I just recently replaced it with the Airlift 3P, and it's working really well. I'm pretty impressed by it. Any of you car guys will recognize these are BBS RSs. They're 3-piece wheels. I love building 3-piece wheels. Something about just sitting in your garage, taking apart some wheels, measuring things up, and trying to figure out how big of lips you can run, and doing all kinds of custom offsets is really fun. These are very special because what I did was I removed the regular sandwich style where you would have a lip, a face, and a barrel, and I made these face-mounted wheels. What that means is I had the register on the back here cut off so that I could run face, lip, and then a barrel. So you don't see BBSs like this too often. I've seen a couple guys do it before, but it's definitely uncommon. It makes the face of the lip look a little bit bigger since it's in front of the lip, and then I had my buddy Tyler powder coat them gold, and probably one of my favorite wheels I've ever built. You can probably see how insanely stretched these tires are, and I'm not exactly proud of it. I didn't go out trying to do the craziest stretch. What happened was I was pretty much dead set on running 16 by 11 inch wheels. Well, after I built them, turns out that tires are pretty much impossible to find that would fit kind of like what I wanted. I didn't want something with a crazy huge sidewall, and I wanted a little bit of stretch, you know, because it's got to fit inside this fender. This was the only option out there that I could find, and it kind of sucks because this is pretty sketchy. Fortunately, none of them have ever debeaded, which makes me really happy. I'm just gonna knock on wood. And unfortunately, I have no idea what the offset is on these wheels. You know, sometimes you can calculate it based on like where the offset started, and then you add and subtract based on what kind of lip you have, but the only way to get the offset would be to take these off and physically measure them, which isn't very hard. I just haven't done it. So sorry, I have no idea what the offset is. It's definitely very negative, like probably -30 or -40, something crazy. Another issue that I'm having right now that isn't really the fault of the wheels is these brake pads that I have for my manual brakes throw off tons and tons of dust because they're steel, which are supposed to bite a little bit harder, make it a little bit easier to brake. I'm definitely getting rid of them because they just throw incredible amounts of dust, and they squeak like crazy, which is really annoying when you've got a convertible because you hear everything, and it's also really embarrassing. It's a little bit of a rainy day, not great for a convertible, but we're just gonna keep going. This is pretty much the stock interior. All the leathers and dash and everything is exactly how it came from the factory. These convertible cars take a massive beating since you've got the top down in the sun, and all this UV starts to damage the seats. Mine are in pretty good condition because my car's only got about 100,000 miles on it, but I definitely think it's time to probably revisit these. I might end up reupholstering them myself with L-Seat, which is a website that you can basically order all the leathers from, or I might have a friend of mine do it in cloth, which would be really cool because cloth won't get so hot in the summer, which is another big issue that convertibles have. I've got the 3P management controller mounted really nice in this custom bezel. People seem to love the little details like that. Just really shows it off, and it makes it easy to control. I also did some burgundy boots on the shifter and on the e-brake handle, and I wish they matched a little bit better, but they're pretty dang close. This steering wheel is from Grip Royal. It's one of their old school woody ones. I've had this thing forever, and I also paired it with the Works Bell flip up steering wheel flipper thing, whatever you call this. It's pretty cool. I'm a tall guy, I'm like 6'4", so getting into these small cars is tough, and having this adjustment so that this flips up just makes it a little bit easier. Plus people trip out when they see me do that with the steering wheel. And of course, the interior wouldn't be complete with one of the analog Euro clocks. Everybody seems to love these, the old OB system, whatever you call it. Those things are always crapping out, so I figured I'd toss it. And I've also got these digital little gauge things here that look like they're OEM, but they're actually not. This one shows voltage and oil pressure, and for some reason my oil pressure one isn't working, but it's really nice having this OEM looking voltage gauge on the dash here so I can easily see what's going on with the battery. When you have an air ride car, the pumps run and kill the battery, so you kind of want to keep an eye on your voltage a lot of times. My cluster is just mildly modified. I have the chrome gauge rings that I actually kind of grew to hate. I'm gonna do some flat black ones next. I ordered a bunch of parts for this because of course now this E30, like every other E30, the odometer has broken, the tach has stopped working, and the temp sensor has stopped working. So those can be kind of critical. You want those working. I just received the package from some guys that make replacements of all this stuff. So hopefully in the next few weeks, I'll have some time to install all that and have a really fresh looking cluster. So I'm pretty pumped on that. The front end's pretty standard. Of course, I'm not running a license plate. Somebody makes these cool little 3D printed plugs so you can plug the plate holes. I mentioned before the IS lip. These things break so easily, so make sure you get an OEM one and spend the extra money on them, because the crappy $60 Amazon ones explode like the first time they touch the ground. I've got these yellow fog lights that I installed years ago, and oddly enough, which I think is really cool, the car already had all the wiring for it. It just wasn't, it was an option on my car, it just hadn't been installed. So once I got the switch and the fog lights, they plugged in and worked perfectly, like they came from the factory, which was really cool. There was one point where I had a grill that was extra long and covered up one of these inner high beam headlights. People went absolutely nuts when they saw that. Some people loved it, some people hated it, but there's a lot of guys that take the headlights out and put an intake here because it helps, you know, get a bunch of forced air into the motor, which is really nice. I've kind of considered doing that because the ITBs love the fresh air. Being that they're so close, you know, to the engine bay in here, they kind of get a little heat soaked, which sucks. I don't remember if I put these like smileys. I think these are aftermarket, like Euro style smiley projectors, but I love those. I love the way the car looks in the front. And it's even got these cool little brake duct things, which I'm pretty sure those came on the car. I did one of those Pergo style wood trunk floors and kind of hated it because they just scratch so easily. So I tore that all out, and for years you could just see all the air management and things that were in here. So you pretty much couldn't put anything in the trunk, and I got so sick of it. Now that I've been filming like some road trip videos and things like that, I finally wanted to just put a false floor back in it. So I made one pretty easily with a piece of wood and found some carpet that sort of matched. I'm really happy with it. I love the way it all turned out, and you can see the air right underneath here is, you know, not too well organized. It could definitely be cleaned up a little bit, but it gets the job done. For the most part, that's pretty much it. I've really enjoyed the last 10 years plus of owning this car. It's been a whole lot of fun, had a lot of great memories. It's left me stranded a few times, but still been a good time. If you guys really loved this video, let me know in the comments if you have more questions and things like that. I can always do some more videos too on my other cars, like my 240SX, my Audi Quattro, which I haven't even had for very long, but it's already got quite the story. Thanks for watching. Check your polarizer.